Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, we're going to be painting a desert landscape with some cactus, saguaro cactus, and really looking forward to this one. I'll show you step by step how to do it from start to finish tonight. Got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's man in chat, so if you've got questions while we're painting, you can ask those and we'll try to answer. Let's get started. All right, I always have to preface it, we'll try to answer, because I don't know everything, but believe it or not, been painting about 30 years now, so I like to do these videos to kind of help you guys that are maybe just learning how to paint with acrylics, and hopefully give you some good tips and maybe avoid some of the problem things that I came across when I was learning them. I tried to do Bob Ross oil painting techniques with acrylics and didn't go as well. Very well. So very frustrating. If you've ever tried, you can reply in the comments there. Let me know. Yeah, so we'll be going through this step by step with you tonight. I'm going to start with a 9 by 12 inch canvas. This is the Fredrix mixed media canvas board. Haven't done anything to it. It's just all ready to go. I like these because they're hard. We've got a hard core to them, so they don't warp like some of the cheaper ones. But you can use whatever you want on here, and I really think this would look really nice on a very large canvas. If you size up your canvas, just size up your brushes accordingly. All right. As far as brushes go, I'm going to be using, you're going to want a fan brush for some of the stippling. You can also use a Deerfoot stippler, that's this, or like if you have a hog bristle brush. I showed some foliage techniques in my Forest Lights video that was a couple of weeks ago. So if you're kind of curious about foliage and how to do it, you can check that video out. It shows different kinds of brushes and the different techniques. So I've also got the blender brushes that we can use for some foliage as well. I'm not really sure which ones we'll be using, but I've got them all set aside there. And then you're going to need a large brush for the sky. This is a nice like solid blue sky, so I'm just going to use a large brush for that. And then kind of a medium flat to fill in some of the just bottom area there, just for some other smaller details. And then for the cactus themselves, for some of the detail work, you're going to want either like an angle brush. I've got a 3/8 inch angle here, and I've got a variety of Filberts and round brushes in 3 different sizes there. And then this one is a short angle bright. These are all Princeton brushes. This is the Aspen series and the black handles 6100 Summit series in the green handles. And people ask me about the long handled brushes versus the short handled brushes. Depends on the technique, but for what we're going to be doing tonight, the shorter handle brushes will be fine. So if you don't have these fancy long handle brushes, just use what you've got that's similar, and that'll be okay. All right, let's get going here. Colors. Let's go over colors. I've got, move that back and try not to spill water all over everything this time. Let's see. A couple weeks ago, I spilled water all over. There we go. Okay, you can see it a little bit better. Yay. Yeah. Burnt umber, burnt sienna, quinacridone, burnt orange. If you don't have that, use quinacridone magenta and burnt sienna to make it. So that's the next color here. Burnt sienna, quinacridone, burnt orange, and quinacridone magenta. Cadmium. No, this one is actually called Phthalo. No, Pyrrole orange. I don't ever use it. But it was kind of sort of the in-between color that I wanted tonight. So it's a little bit lighter. It's kind of in between cadmium orange and cadmium red light. So I grabbed it. If you don't have it, just use one of those other 2 colors if you've got them. Cadmium orange or cadmium red light, that'll work instead of this Pyrrole orange. Indian yellow hue, cadmium yellow light, green gold. That's another mixed color that's got phthalo green yellow shade, which is right here, and a yellow. So it's kind of just a pre-mixed bright green. So if you don't have that, you can kind of mix it yourself. So phthalo green yellow shade, cobalt teal, Phthalo blue green shade, Ultramarine blue, and Dioxazine purple. If you don't have Cobalt teal, you can mix Phthalo blue and Phthalo green together and add a little bit of white, and you'll get a similar color. This is Unbleached Titanium, Titanium white, and Gloss glazing liquid. All right, I do have a color mixing video that shows how to mix some of these colors, so if that is helpful, I don't know. I probably need to do another one because it's been a while and I'm starting to use other colors in my palette. But every now and then I just like to use a pre-mixed color. I know it kind of freaks people out sometimes when I do that, but you know, you just got to have fun with it and use the colors and all the colors in the crayon box sometimes, you know, even if they're pre-mixed colors. And by pre-mixed, I mean they have more than one. It's not like a single pigment color. They've got multiple pigments in them. So I use mostly single pigment colors, but every now and then I like to use ones that are not. All right, let's go. Stop talking and let's paint.
Just get busy.
Let's get painting here. Enough of that.
And I'm disappointed because my fancy board here has an applause thing and I didn't use it. So I'm underutilizing my
What were you supposed to be using it for? Oh, just for anything.
Well,
you just realized that you've had that for over a year and you just...
Not a year, maybe 6-8 months.
Oh, okay.
I thought I did. I'm sure I did at one time. But like when you move the water back without spilling it, I clapped myself.
But then you have
I have a robot to do that for me.
I see. But is it a smart robot? No.
I'm using it. So
it's not going to replace you, right?
Well, that's not setting the bar too high. Let's see.
All right, I am mixing Phthalo blue, Cobalt teal, a little bit of Cobalt teal, and white here. I'm trying to get it all mixed through here. It's not wanting to mix for me. All right, so that'll work, I think, for our sky color. Maybe a little bit bright, but I'm going to add white to it as I paint. So I'm kind of going to start a little bit dark, and I'll add the white as I go down. And I'm only going to need to go down about, I don't know, maybe a little bit short of halfway. So somewhere in here. So I'm going to go across here. And I sprayed my canvas with water just now. This is just a fine mister. I use it to spray my paints as well. And I just sprayed my canvas with it. It gives it kind of a nice wet start, and it opens up the fiber of the canvas. So it's really important to do that. If I had a canvas that had, I don't know what I just got on there. If I had a canvas that was the open back, that was like a wrapped canvas, regular canvas, stretched canvas. That's the word I'm looking for. Stretched canvas, where you can see the canvas on the back is not a board. You could spray in the back as well, front and back. All right, let's go. So I'm going to go across here. And I don't like that this is super transparent. So I'm going to get a little bit of white here. And the white will make that little bit less opaque, or a little bit more opaque. Or really a lot more opaque. Okay, there we go. So, and it didn't change the color too much. All right, so I'm going to go back and forth until I get a nice smooth coverage, and then I'm going to add white as I come down. So I'm going to get more white here. Just go across, really work that in. I feel like some days your paints are fighting you. That's what I feel like right now. My paints are not wanting to do what I'm telling them to do. I don't know if it's the brush, what. All right, there we go. Getting a nice blend, blending it. I come just below where I want that blend to be, and then push it up into where I want the lighter color. So I'm kind of coming below it here and putting this light color on, this white, really just going straight white here. And I'm coming down to about halfway, and then I'm going to go up and all the way up. Okay. All right, sorry. Can't zoom out.
Well, I can, but we
Show
can
my lap.
show your lap if you want to.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. All right. I'm gonna wipe that out. I'm just kind of wiping most of the paint out on my paper towel here instead of in my water jar, and that just keeps it from making my water jar a mess. All right. Can rinse it out a little bit better there. Take out the extra moisture out of here, and I'm going to get white. A little bit of water. There we go. And I'm going to do this one more time. This is still wet, so do this while it's wet. Otherwise, you're not going to have good results. You'll have the Bob Ross experience that I had. If you wait too long and that paint starts to dry, then it gets sticky, and it's starting to get sticky. My air on here in the studio, it's wanting to. Also, you don't want to add too much water at this point because the water will basically wash the paint off your canvas. So you're just telling it to, clean it off. So when you have a thick layer of paint on the canvas, you don't want to add water straight to the canvas. It will kind of reactivate it. I mean, you can spray it lightly to help it blend if it's still wet and workable, but if it's really thick or like if I was to drip a big drop of water onto here before, which I have done, basically it just washes off that whole thing and you'll end up with the big round dot there where your water fell. Sometimes I do it on purpose though. Sometimes if you watched my sea turtle video, we did it on purpose and we added water drops to the background and then wiped them off, and then we had these really like bubble looking things. So it's kind of a cool effect if you mean to do it. If you don't mean to do it, like in this case, then it's not really fun. It's not that fun at all, actually. So just helpful tips.
It's helpful
Trying to be
when
real
it's on
here.
purpose, not helpful when it's not. No. You can apply that in a lot of parts of life.
A lot of things.
Yeah.
Okay. These are the words of wisdom,
Instead of Confucius, Angela says,
Yeah.
one who drips water on purpose is happy.
Oops. Oh, splashing water. I'm getting a little happy there. Okay. Let's go ahead and just stick with this brush to add our foreground here. Now, Desert Sand, in this case, has got kind of a rosy tint to it. So I think I'm going to make kind of a orangey tone. That's why I wanted to use this burnt orange. So I'm going to use that as my base and use the Unbleached Titanium to kind of mix it with. Unbleached Titanium is opaque and the burnt orange is not. So you need a opaque color to kind of mix with it, just in order to make it stick, Otherwise you'll end up with streaks. So there we go. That looks pretty good, I think. I'm just going to go ahead and paint that in, even though most of this is going to be green. I do want just a little bit of this kind of sand color back here, and then when we cover it with our green, we don't have to worry about covering anything. It'll already be covered. We'll just have kind of a base tone here. It looks good. All right, and then let's go ahead and go up a little bit higher here. Just gonna go over my sky area and bring it up a little bit because I kind of went down farther than I needed to with that. And in this case, I'm not gonna try to overblend any streaks. I'm just gonna leave them because as long as we do them kind of side to side, it'll look like we meant to do it, and it'll just kind of add to the whole look. So don't stress about that. That looks pretty good. Go a little bit higher, I think. Yeah, I think I want my mountains to start in kind of right in here, just above the halfway mark. So I'm just going to kind of keep going over. And the thing is, with these mountains that are, depending on how far away they are, a lot of times one of my favorite tricks to do is to add a little bit of your sky color into your mountains, and it kind of gives it that illusion of distance. So having this blue mixing with my color here, I don't mind it because it kind of works. Okay, so I think that that's going to be good. I'm going to hand this off to Mark to dry.
Oh, you're painting the edges on me. I see how you.
Well, no, I'm trying to get off the big globs of paint that were on the edges there so that it didn't get on your hands when you picked it up.
Back in an hour.
Huh? You've been back in an hour? Okay, yeah. So it's important to stop in between like we're doing here and let your layers dry with acrylics. I was mentioning before how they will lift, and you can try it yourself if you want to just experiment and see, at what point your paints start to do that. But basically, when acrylics start to dry, they will start to bond to each other. They're like plastic, and so they kind of create this like little film. But it's really sticky when they start to do that. They're sticking to each other, and they will stick to your brush or anything else that touches them while they're in that stage of kind of drying. The moisture is evaporating out. Let me turn off my phone really quick here. We're going to get storms tonight, so I'm not going to do a mini lesson because we're kind of trying to move things along because we're under the tornado watches in our area. Little Rock got hit by a really bad one the other day. So anyhow, so we're just going to go kind of fast. But what I was saying was about the acrylics is they're in that stage between wet and fully dry. There's just this kind of magic, or not magic, like really bad timing where you don't want to mess with them, so like when I was doing the sky, I was working pretty quickly. You want to continue to work those acrylics while they're wet as quickly as you can, and then leave them and do not mess with them. So that's why Mark's taking it to dry it, because if I tried to paint over the top of that wet sky anymore, what would happen is that gummy paint that's trying to dry, that blue layer and the sand layers would start to lift, and what it'll do is kind of mix with the colors that I'm trying to lay down. So I've got fresh paint on my brush that is wet, and we're adding wet over this sticky layer, and it's just going to start mixing with our color and lifting off the canvas. You're going to start to get these areas that are like not the color is going to start to come off, and you'll start to see the background showing through, and it'll also make a gummy mess on your brush if you keep doing it and keep thinking, well, I just need to add more paint, and keep adding more paint, and more of this layer is just going to start peeling off your canvas, and then you'll end up with a huge mess, and you'll get all this weird texture things happening. It's bad news. Don't do it. So just let it dry. Like take a hairdryer to it if you're in a hurry. That's what I usually do. We send it to Mark, my fancy hairdryer guy. He does it for me during the shows, but I always have a hairdryer handy in my studio because I'm too lazy to wait for it to dry totally. But you want to use kind of a medium setting. You don't want it too hot, and you don't want to hold the hairdryer directly over a certain area. If you've got an area that's wet, just kind of do like this, so that it doesn't bubble, because it will like bubble. It's like plastic. It's it's bonding, and so if you can burn it, you can literally like burn it, and it'll bubble and do weird things for you. So just kind of do a light. I just need to keep moving here. I'm talking too much. You get the idea. All right, let's go. I'm gonna get some chalk and do some light sketches of where I want my mountains and things to go. Okay, so this is a photo from my Aunt Nancy that she took this photo, and I think it's the Desert Museum in Phoenix, if I'm not mistaken. I think this is Camelback Mountain, maybe. let me know in the comments, Nancy, if she's watching. I don't know if she's watching or not.
Aunt
Aunt Nancy. This is a photo that she took.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, so it's kind of like that, maybe a little higher there. I'm pretty sure this is Camelback Mountain. In Phoenix, the Desert Museum in Phoenix. So there we go there. And it's got a lot of sky, but I want a pretty good amount of sky because we've got these huge cactus that are coming up here, and I want them to have a nice visual like lift, you know, give it a, make it obvious how tall they are. So some of these that are back here are going to be back in here. I'm not going to really worry about them right now. I'm just kind of getting that scale. And I think this is kind of where I want to be with my, so I think I got my, I might have come down a little, or come up a little bit too much. I might move this up just a little bit. Okay, so that area there, and then there's a little mountain right here that's in the far distance. There's a little area right there where you're seeing some really, really far mountains. And I think I want to, yeah, just make sure that this peak of this is kind of just offset a little bit. I might move it back just a little bit. Like right in here. It does look like a Camelback, so I'm pretty sure this is Camelback Mountain. Somebody in the audience can probably let us know.
We'll see it is.
I'm pretty sure this is what this is. Okay. Looks good. Yeah, it looks like the camel's laying down like this is the head here and the hump there. Okay, that looks good. So that's pretty much all I'm gonna skip. I'm not gonna, we're done. No, I think, yeah, exactly. You know where to go from here. All right, so I think that'll kind of do. I just need to do these mountains before I can kind of sketch anything else because we're gonna just be painting over them. So I'm gonna use the blender for this, and I'm gonna use the same color that we used for our sand. So I'm gonna get the burnt orange. You can see here where that paint is drying, and it's starting to flake off. So I don't want to mix over the top of that area. I'm gonna mix in a clean spot. Otherwise I could end up with problems. If you don't have this burnt orange color, you can mix burnt sienna and magenta, quinacridone magenta, and get a color that's very similar, you know, depending on how much of one or the other that you use. But you can get I've got a little bit more magenta in mine here, but I don't mind that. I'm going to use that in my mountain too. So we'll use a little bit of that. And got a little bit more of an orangey tone in this one here. This one's got a little bit more of the magenta with the burnt sienna. And if I used more burnt sienna, that it would be more orange. So it's not that it's not similar enough. I did a color study in one of my videos a while back, and I have a short on YouTube here that shows the different mixes of the different colors and how to, if you don't have quinacridone magenta, like you can use alizarin crimson. All right, so doing a few different versions of some like sandy tones here. I'm just kind of pre-mixing a few colors. I think I'm gonna go ahead and try to clean off this part of my palette because I've got a large area. That large brush kind of, it's nice, but it takes up a lot of the room on the palette. So I don't want to, I can't mix over any of this area because it will flake off and get into my fresh paint. You can paint over it on the canvas, but on your palette, it's not stuck to it like it does. It's not there's nothing for it to stick to on this glass. That's why I don't like painting on glass, if you ever asked. Not that you asked me, but it's really a pain. I've been there. It's not fun. You can use glass paint, but it still doesn't want to stick to it. All right, I think I'm just going to flip that over. Use the back side here. Actually, I'm going to get a fresh one.
So I think I'm going to start a channel with pastel.
Pastel?
Yeah, because I became really interested in that recently.
Really? Why?
Yeah, because I learned that through my Spanish lessons that pastel is a Spanish word for cake. So
you're gonna have a cake channel? You going to do pastel artwork of cakes and just like do a double?
I'm going to show how art is consumed.
I see. Got it. I like it. I like where you're going with that.
So there we go.
I did buy cake the other day.
Okay.
No, don't ever buy.
But tell
food when
them.
you're
Okay, so you
snacking.
got cake and you got meals, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh no meals.
I
Okay.
didn't. That was the problem. Yeah. You can tell when I shop at like 2 a.m. and I'm like, oh, I remember we needed cat litter. And so like make a Walmart cart of all these, random items. That's what happened the other day. And then I realized later that night after I got my random items from Walmart that I hadn't bought any.
There's no proteins or vegetables.
There was no edible dinner items at all in it. It's terrible.
We're still alive.
We're all right. I don't know. It's bad now that we don't have our kids at the house. It's terrible because I hardly ever want to cook because I'm like, it just doesn't seem worth it. All right. Quinacridone Magenta and burnt umber and a little touch of the purple. You watched me do it, but so that's what that is. So that's going to be the dark parts of our mountain. And then I need a color for this. So I used Phthalo blue and this can't think of the name, Cobalt teal for the sky. So I'm going to use that same combo and add a little bit of this, maybe a little bit of my Ultramarine Blue to it for more purpley mountain back here. So let's get that sky color first. We'll get that little bit of Phthalo blue with my Cobalt teal and my white. Mix that together. A little bit more Phthalo blue. All right, so I want to start with that. This is going to be kind of just the base blue sky colors that I can mix into my mountains. All right, and there's not that much mountain, so I don't know why I'm making a big federal case out of this. It's not going to take very much, but just showing you what I'm doing here. I'm going to get a little bit of ultramarine blue, mix that in. I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to, and I want this color to be maybe one shade darker than the sky, so I want it to be pretty light. If it shows up at all against your sky color, then you know it's going to be darker because this will dry darker. As it dries, it gets darker. Acrylics will. So this will be good here, I think. That looks good. And then I'm just going to take the bottom here and brush it out with my, kind of just dry brush it out so that it kind of blends out into my landscape, and then get some of my light color from my landscape. I want to spray these mixtures. Anytime you're mixing your paint like this, you want to spray it so that it doesn't dry too fast. And I'm going to get some of that color. That's that burnt orange and unbleached titanium mixture here. Got a little bit more of the light version of it, which is kind of what's there, and I'm just going to kind of go over that and push it back up a little bit. There we go. So you have kind of a nice blend between the two. And then let's go ahead and add a little bit of my purple color. Again, I'm keeping this pretty light. I'm going to go over, in fact, I want a little bit more white with that. So this is the turquoise and a little bit of this dark purple color that I mixed. And this is burnt umber and quinacridone magenta with a little touch of purple in it. All right, so just going to add that with some white and a little bit of my sky color just to tone it. And I'm going to use that. Oh, that's going to be nice. Okay, so I'm going to use that and tap that into these distant mountains and create just some texture on those mountains so that they're not just flat. Right, and then I'm going to get a little bit of my ultramarine blue, and I'm going to go in and kind of just do a few little darkish areas on the mountain. Excuse me. All right, so that's it. I'm not going to go real crazy fancy with it. And most of this is going to be covered up by our greenery, but I just want a little bit of a distant mountain there. And then for a camelback mountain, I'm going to use a little bit of that purple. I'm going to mix it with my magenta burnt sienna mixture that has the unbleached titanium mixed in, and we'll just use that kind of as our color. Yeah, it's going to be dark, so I'm going a little bit darker than it needs to be, but I'm going to start out dark and then lighten it as I go, and that way we'll kind of have a little bit of values to play with here. I think I forgot to add my blue from my sky, so I'm going to add a little bit of that blue just to tone this a little bit. Not a lot, because you don't want it to turn like brown, muddy, you know. It's kind of a really nice, soft tan with a lot of orangey undertones. Orange and pinks. Really pretty color, and depending on the light and the time of day, it kind of changes color like all these rocks do. We lived in an area, I've lived in all of these areas where this area, actually, I should say, we lived in Phoenix, and that's where our first son was born. And but we lived in an area called Parker, Arizona, that was right on the Colorado River, and it had these beautiful mountains all along the river. It had all of these bluffs and things, and we would go through, and the colors, depending on the time of day and the sunsets, were incredible, and they would change the mountains, just all these different colors. It would play off against the colors on the mountain. And
well, you have that painting that you did
beautiful.
back in college.
Oh yeah, I don't know
desert
whatever
scene.
happened to that.
It's up in the attic.
Is it? A long time ago. I tried the watercolors for a while, and that didn't go well. So I tried a lot of things and failed a lot before I finally got happy with my art journey. That was in college. I was an art major. I actually dropped out of painting, if you can believe it, because I hated it. They didn't teach us techniques, and I was trying to do oil painting stuff with acrylics and not doing so well, because it doesn't really, I didn't realize the things that I told you guys about the way it dries and how to wait for your layers to dry. With the oil paints, I could go back and mess with the sky at this point, you know. He'd put on, the sky, and then he would do 3 other things, and then he'd come back and blend it all together and have this beautiful soft blended sky. And I'd try to do that with acrylics and end up with a gummy mess. So I think one of the reasons I like teaching is because I remember how frustrating that was. I don't want you guys to have to deal with that. And, you know, it's always going to be a learning curve anytime you're learning anything new. I'm not saying it's going to be easy even with my lessons, you know. I have people, you know, that try to do my advanced lessons and they get mad. And they're like, this is the first time I've painted and I couldn't do it. And I'm like, well, you know, you wouldn't sit down to a piano and think that you're going to play, you know, Beethoven, you know, concerto or something on your first try. But somehow with art, people think, you know, that they should be able to, if they're not good at art if they can't sit down the first time they paint and do, you know, a masterpiece. So I try to do these kind of a little bit more beginner lessons. This one's going to be a little bit more beginner friendly on Tuesdays so that people can get a taste for it, get a little bit of experience before they try to tackle the really difficult paintings, you know. All right, I'm going to get some of this pinkish purple color now. And you can see how I did that. I just kind of was adding different values of color so that it wasn't just a solid color. I was just kind of using this brush and picking up the different colors as I painted it in and just adding a little bit of it. Now, this is mostly dry up here, so I can kind of add a little bit to it and it's not gonna lift like I was, you know, talking about before. That looks pretty good, I think. And I think I want some of these dark, like little dark cubbies in the rock. So I'm going to get my angle brush because it's got a nice point and I'll be able to get in there and do some of those. So I'm going to blur up, get a little bit of that dark. I keep finding hairs. I'm going to get some of my Quinacridone burnt orange. A little bit of this lighter color, just want to lighten it up just a little bit. And then, but yeah, I think I want this dark, actually. Take that back. I think I'm going to go with that darker color first. So let's go ahead and use the tip. I'm going to turn it upside down so I can draw with it. And just dab it on here. And just dab little dots. You can use a round brush. You can use whatever brush you find comfortable working with. This one's probably not doing a great job. Sometimes when I slow down to try to explain how to use it, it's like it doesn't work as well as if I just do it. That makes sense. It's weird. Okay, so there. I'm not sure I love that, but I'm going to get my light color. I'm going to go around these and just kind of push them around. Put my... Looks like I made a face right there. There you go. Make those a little bit smaller. I kind of made them sort of big with this brush. I think I needed a smaller brush. All right, but that looks okay. All right, and let me get a little bit of the Ultramarine Blue and a little bit of this dark purple color. I'm going to go back in to some of these and do a little bit darker. And then there's some green spots on there too. So coming up, I think I have it a little bit dark too. So I may still come back and lighten it up a little bit. I need to let it dry though because it's got a lot of layers on here. I'm gonna get the, no, I think I'm gonna use this brush. I'm gonna get the 1/4 inch blender. It's a little bit smaller. And so from right here down, there's like some greenery coming down. So I'm going to get my white and a little bit of my sky blue color. And let's just get a little bit of this green here. Let's get the green gold, because that's probably going to be the color that most of this greenery is going to be. I'm going to add a little bit of the background color just to tone it down. So I want this color, the value, to be very similar to what's already here. So when I put this on, if it's like, woo, that's green, then you know to back off and like add a little bit more of your white or something. So I'm going to get a little bit more of that green, a little bit darker, because I feel like it could go a little bit darker. There we go. And I'm just going to come down the mountain on this side. I don't love my mountain yet. It's not good. But don't panic yet. I'm talking to myself about this. You guys are overhearing my thoughts. This is what you have to tell yourself. It's okay. It's not finished yet. We're not there yet. So we have time. We can fix it. Right? It always goes through kind of an ugly stage at some point, and you just have to kind of trust that you'll get through it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I haven't painted this ahead of time, so I don't know how it's going to go either. But
sounds like the same approach I'll have on my pastel channel.
What?
Sounds like the same approach I'll have on my pastel channel.
Your
it's
pastel
okay.
channel?
We'll get through it.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't tried this one before, but
we haven't eaten this one yet.
Right. And I might be copying from your channel.
Wouldn't be the first time. Oh gosh, it's funny. All right, so adding a little bit darker green there. That was probably too dark. I added a little bit of the phthalo blue, phthalo green together to get a little bit darker turquoise, and then added a little bit of the burnt sienna or burnt umber to tone it down. All right, so have that color. I'm going to get a little bit of the rock color, and kind of cover it back over some of this, because I got a little bit too much. I was laughing at somebody. It's your fault. There we go. Okay. Oop. So just kind of a few little bits there. Doesn't have to look like anything, you know. It's not. We're not trying to put a lot of detail in. Let's go ahead and it's gonna fly at my. I'm gonna get some white and some of my light color. I need to make a light that is a lot lighter than these, so I need to get my white almost the same tone as my unbleached titanium. I could probably use unbleached titanium straight. I need to get more of it, but all right, so I'm going to use this, and I'm going to add some highlights on my rock face. Through that. Okay. This will really help up here. We'll say our light's coming from this side. We can see that in our cactus too. So then we'll just lighten up all of these bits on this side of the mountain so that kind of pulling down and also kind of dragging side to side. I will add more of the darker tones on this side here. So I'm going to get a little bit of the darker tones and just kind of go back in with that. Whoop. And pull back. this way. So we get a little bit of both. I'm just not loving this at all, but I'm gonna get it there, I promise. Okay, there we go. I think part of the problem is that it's really kind of overblown, like it's midday and there's not a lot of shadow. So I'm trying to give this some form, and it just doesn't have a lot of dimension to the values. There's not a lot of light, really light and really dark, except for where there's shade, you know. But on the actual rocket face itself, it's all pretty much the same color because there's light coming probably from almost directly above and lighting the whole thing up pretty well. So it's a pretty bright sunny day. So we can manufacture a little bit more shadows. So that's what I'm kind of doing here with this darker side here and trying to kind of give it a little bit of a darker tone on this one side, just a little bit, like kind of give it a plane right here. There's a cactus going to go right here in front of it though, so I don't know what's going to happen right there, but I'm going to go ahead and get my dark. I've switched to a 2/0 round here so that I can give some of these little bits a little bit more attention, and this is much better because they're going on smaller and I can have a little bit more control than I did with that angle brush. I'm liking it a lot better. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I think there's some stuff back here, but that tree is gonna be covering it. Gonna maybe get a little bit darker value here and just add a little bit on this side of the mountain. I'm keeping it all in those same kind of reddish tones though. It's all kind of got that feel. Okay, that looks good. I think that's pretty much all I'm gonna do with my mountain. I'm not gonna overdo and try to put a bunch of stuff in there that's not in the original. It doesn't need it. So let's go ahead and move on and start our cactus. So I'm gonna draw in, there's a cactus right here. And I think I'm going to make it taller than the mountain just because I think it'll read a little bit better on our image. So I'm gonna do like that. It's right there. And then there's smaller ones here, here, and then some small ones back here. And then this one that kind of comes up right here, right there. Right, and then I think I'm gonna move this one over. I had it right there, but I think I'm gonna move it over a little bit closer to this side right here. And then there's one over here. Yeah, desert. I do miss the sunsets in the desert. I kind of miss the cactus too. I don't miss walking in the, like out here you walk in Arkansas, you walk outside and you're gonna come home with ticks, you know, if you go out in the wilderness. In the desert we ended up with cactus. We'd be pulling cactus out almost every time because you'd walk by these ones that were, I think they were cholla, or I can't remember what they were called. Do you remember what they were called? They were like little fuzzy, but they would have these really long like filaments that would stick out, and then as soon as you touched it, it would break off and then stick to your clothes. So you'd have this little clump of, yeah, not fun. But I didn't mind it. I grew up in, you know, in this, so I was oblivious. I seared the bottoms of my feet. I mean, I would walk around all the time with barefoot. It was just so dumb now when you think about it, but like no fear. I actually killed a rattlesnake. I don't know if they're protected. Maybe I probably shouldn't admit that on air, but it was outside our house area, so I'm trying to get rid of it.
Is that
Probably
the one that you protected
Hindsight,
your brother and
probably
I
could have
from?
called somebody. What?
Is that the one that you protected your brother and I from?
Yes. Yeah, Mark and I were
Thank you.
throwing these little pebbles at it.
We were like, step back, little lady. Us men will take care of it. We've
this.
played baseball and football, and so we can throw and kill it. And so we're throwing, her brother and I are throwing rocks at it and just missing it. And she's just standing there, and she picks up a rock, one toss, right to the
Well,
head.
it's a big rock. So they,
Well, I mean, it wasn't super big. It's like, seriously?
yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, that was in our condo complex. Under an air conditioning unit. All right. Here we go. Sorry about the stories. We're just talking and reminiscing here. All right. So I think that's going to work there. I've got kind of really good perspective. And let's go ahead and just start adding some stuff. I think I'm going to mix up some different greens, though. And that'll allow me to work a little bit faster, kind of like what we did here, where we had all these different colors. So I'm going to go ahead and get some of this green gold. And I'm going to mix some of my cadmium yellow light with it. And if you want to make your own green gold, you can use, if you've got cadmium yellow light and you've got like a well, azo gold, nickel azo gold is what is used with Hansa yellow light, which is basically the non-toxic version of cadmium yellow light. Get some white here and add some yellow, Indian yellow hue to it. So I have kind of a bright golden yellow. That looks good. And I still have a little bit of that green gold in there, so that's fine. I'm going to kind of use all of these in different quantities. Get some of the Cobalt turquoise and add some cadmium yellow light to that. That will give me a really nice bright green. I'm not going to use a lot of this on its own because it's obviously, too bright. So what I can do to kind of desaturate it is add like either some orange, or I can try adding some orange to it. That might be too much orange, probably way too much orange actually. But that's actually not a bad color for kind of a olive toned, and there's some olive toned stuff in here too, so that was kind of a happy accident there. I'm scraping up bits of old paint in there too, which is probably not a good idea. Okay, so there we go. So let's get some more cobalt teal here. And let's use both of these yellows. Let's see if that does a little bit better. Maybe a little bit less. And I still had a little bit of that color that had the orange in there. So there we go. So we've got some of that. We can mix into that. And then let's do a nice turquoise. So let's get some phthalo blue and burnt sienna. That's my favorite turquoise combo. Makes a really nice teal color. You would not think, but it's a beautiful teal color. And then we can mix into that with white and create other tones. Okay, and then we've got our phthalo green there. We can mix into that as we work too. So that's got a good like range of different greens, from kind of very yellow green to more turquoisey green. All right. So I'm going to start with my, actually I think I want the 1/4 inch. I'm going to start back here and I'm going to create my distant mountain. Oh, what is that? Frog? Right out, literally like right outside my window. I'm going to kind of double load it. So I'm going to have a little bit of the bright green and a little bit of this more neutral green that had a little bit of that. Gosh, that's so cute. He's talking to us. Okay.
Yeah.
He had a lot to say there.
When I was working this morning, he was doing that. I was like,
Oh, really?
is he inside the studio?
Oh, so he's been doing that all day?
Yeah, I think he's on the windowsill.
Oh, that's
just
funny.
outside.
Yeah, just outside. He's calling this females, or he's like, hey, hey, babe, I got some cool digs here. Cute. We're going to get a picture of him. He can be our little studio mascot. Okay, so just tapping very small in the distance. I want to keep these kind of small. And then back here, you can't see them at all. We got other bigger bushes in front, so I'm going to try to do that side. That looks pretty good, I think. Go ahead and clean that out. Get a little bit larger. Actually, let me go ahead and get the Deerfoot Stippler, and we'll start to use this because this will give us a little bit bigger. Actually, or do I want the, let me think. I can hear myself talking. Mark forgot to turn off his mic over there or something. All right, I'm gonna get some turquoise. I'm gonna add it, or some phthalo blue, and add it to this orangey tone. I could have probably mixed in this color to my, that I had the burnt orange too. So really any of these oranges would work to tone down your green really quickly. So I'm gonna get kind of a little bit darker tone. And I'm distracted because I can hear myself talking in the background here. Mark's left his mic on. You left your mic on. I can hear myself talking or something over there. Yeah, I can hear you myself through the headphones. All right, so there we go. Got another like distant tree there. And then let's go ahead and what?
He's
hiding
between
from you.
the brick and the shutter.
Oh.
So I can't get a good
Can't get him. I'm getting the sky color here, and I'm adding it to my light yellow. That was the Indian Yellow Hue and White. And I'm going to use that all up in here. So all this whole area here. And just tapping. And with this brush, I load the whole thing, but then I kind of tilt it forward when I'm tapping so that I have a little bit more control. And then, so you can see through to the distant, the stuff that we've already done. All right, I'm going to get a little bit of this darker color for over here, and I'm going to do that kind of all along here. We'll just kind of fill in this area with this random kind of green brush. Sagey. Mesquite or something. Okay, and then let's get some of this lighter toned. I want to get some of the green gold, and I'm going to mix it with this lighter color here, just add white to it. I'm going to go just underneath this one and do a nice, and this is just going to be a matter of paying attention to your values so that you're getting enough contrast between your different layers. So I want to be sure when I'm adding other colors that let's go ahead and do like a lot lighter here so that I'm getting these differences in value. That's what's going to give us depth and also help to break up the sameness, because this is all going to be green all through here, you know, and so we're going to have a lot of the same type of colors happening, and so we have to use these values and the tones of the color. So we can use the kind of more yellow tones in some places and the more darker or more turquoisey tones in other places, that kind of thing. So, and then like right in here, maybe I need some darker stuff underneath my light color because it's not showing up. So if you don't have enough of the dark color, your light color won't show up. If I have light color against a light color, it's just going to blend in. But if I put a light color right up against a darker color like this, then it's going to really stand out. So just kind of playing with that and adding some darker colors in here. I've got some of that lighter color still in here, so I'm getting some light colors places where I don't want them. I'm going to get some of my darkest color. I'm going to add some of that down here because I can see some of this cactus here has some darker tones. So give ourselves some darker values to play against. And I'm leaving some of this background color to kind of show through in places too. And then there's an area right in here that's a little bit darker that's got some dead trees or something. I don't know what it is, but I kind of pull down to get that kind of feel of something there. If I pull down when I lay down this, I get these lines and streaks, and then if I tap, I get more foliage. So I'm gonna doing a little bit of both in different places. All right, and then I'm gonna get this straight up green gold. This one had the yellow added to it, so this one doesn't have the yellow added to it. I'm gonna use that in some places up here too. So just a variation of colors and trying to map out our different areas here. And these will all start to look like different plants if we do this right. All right. And I'll add some leaves or add some, what am I trying to say? Stems or branches. Branches, that's the word. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, my brain sometimes, when I get to painting, it's so hard because your brain is like in a totally different hemisphere using the right side of your brain where it's not where the words are stored. So I'll find if I'm getting really into a painting that I have a really hard time talking, explaining what I'm doing. Very weird word choices happening. All right, getting some more turquoisey color, adding a little bit of white here. So cobalt teal. I got a little bit of that yellowy color. I'm gonna add some of that in here, and looks good. And I'm still gonna add my cactus, obviously, but I've got to have this stuff behind the cactus before I start it. So I'm kind of just adding this backdrop around him. It's good. I'm liking this. I'm going to use some of this kind of in here. A little bit of it. Let's get some white. Mix that in with this and use it up here. Do some highlights on some of these that are back in here. I like it. I like it. Okay. So there's kind of a harsh line right here, so I'm just going to kind of think maybe there's another bush right here that sort of breaks that up. So I've got a couple lines lines there. That looks good. Okay, so I'm kind of trying to build these little sections that are like little layer upon layer. So I'm thinking of the shape and of the bushes that I'm seeing, you know, they're kind of rounded like this. I'm just kind of like laying them like bricks, kind of, or, you know, in or around each other, and just thinking, okay, there's, you know, there's maybe one here and one here. And then as I do the next one, you know, just thinking about where it would be and how it would overlap. And just making sure that I'm kind of getting interesting overlapping, not doing too much in any one area. But that looks pretty good, I think. And I'm going to add, obviously I can keep going here and add more later, but this will be kind of a good place to start for putting in our cactus. And let me go ahead and get some of this kind of neutrally green, maybe a little bit lighter, a little bit of white, and just do that all kind of down in here. There's going to be this agave right in here that's kind of nestled in that I've really badly photoshopped. So you're like, why does that look weird? It is weird. It's because I photoshopped it in. It wasn't on a part of this. Same thing with this one here, this purple cactus here. That's not part of the original design, but I wanted it in here, so I added it. Why not, right? Okay, there we go. That looks good. Okay, so it already kind of is starting to look like a desert, right? I think all we would need, if we wanted to leave it like this, you know, without the saguaro, if you didn't want to for whatever reason, you could just add some of the darker color to our sand and call that good, you know. I'm going to go ahead and add some of that darker color in a few places here. This is just that darker pink. I'm just going to use it to sort of darken up some of the bottoms of some of those bushes there. All right, so that looks good. Let's get, I'm going to go ahead and get a liner brush. Get a liner, whoop, and dropped it right in my paint. Perfect. I meant to do that. And I'm gonna put in some of the, maybe get some of this purple. That'll be a good stem color, I think. Maybe add a little bit of green to tone it. And I'm gonna use it right through here and just add some of the stems to some of these. So just wherever you want to decide that you're putting your bushes. Here, you can just add a few little tree trunks.
Are they happy?
They're happy little trees.
Nice. Out there in the sun.
They're getting well watered because they're in a museum, so
Hopefully they have a good SPF. Sunblocker on them.
I'm sure they've got a built-in protection. All right, some of these ones in the front I'm seeing are kind of white-ish, so I'm going to get some of this yellow here. Adding water to it will help them flow off your brush. You have to have your paint thinned out when you're using a liner brush. So I'm gonna kind of just making some little marks here where and if you get an area that's a little thick like I just did, I can go back in now with my greenery and just kind of boop over the top. define it a little bit. All right, and I can add a little bit of the darker color to shadow maybe where it comes into contact with other stuff down toward the ground. Maybe make it a little bit darker color. Got some blue there. All right, so pretty happy with that. And might do some, I think I want to do some like light blue, like sagey, where I've got ultramarine blue here. I think I had some green, obviously I had green or something in my white there because it picked up. That's okay. Got a really lovely smoky blue here. And then add a lot of white. Excuse me. And then I'm gonna do these little scratchy bits down here where there's maybe some sage. Some of that blue. I love this color. I love the overlapping of all these blues and greens in the desert. There's so much color. People are like, oh, it's so dead. But if you go walking in here and really like pay attention to the colors you're seeing, there's so much really beautiful. Like it's very pastel and kind of all like blends together, but at the same time, it's so beautiful. And there's so much variety of color and shapes and all these different cactus. They're all kind of doing their own thing and trying to eke out a spot for themselves, get some light. Well, there's plenty of light. Get the water and hold the water. And somebody was asking me in the chat before the video. It was actually, I think, on one of the posts that we did on our channel page. But anyhow, she was asking, like she said she'd visited the desert, Tucson, and she was like, I can't believe people live there, like, and that, can you even have a garden? And I was like, actually, yeah, you'd be surprised, but there, like where we lived in Yuma, there was lettuce fields, as long as you bring in the water. Of course, there's a lot of problems with that because they're drying out the Colorado River, but and lake meat and all this other, but that's a whole nother story. But yes, you can. You just have to have the water for it. And I think that they're not allowing people to have green lawns anymore, like what when we lived in Phoenix, you would see areas of, green. And I'm going to get some of this purple color and mix this with my ultramarine blue and use that. Yeah, so it's funny. When we moved to Arkansas, I was like, I couldn't believe that you could grow a lawn without a watering system. I was like, what? It grows on its own? You mean
everything's green? There's
a green. Everything is green. There's flowers everywhere. That is pretty, but I do miss the desert sometimes. This definitely brings back a lot of good memories growing up, living in the desert. Okay, so just adding little bits of purple and things down here to where, like little rocks and things. And then we're going to add the purple into these cactus in the front here. But I think I'm going to stop there and go ahead and put in our saguaro cactus, and then we'll continue on with the rest. So let me get I think I'm going to get the 2 round here. And let's see, what color do we want these to be? So I think they're going to kind of be sort of this green that we had that we made with the orange. was the cobalt teal and orange. And I added that orange thinking we would use it in our mountains, which we didn't end up using it, but we ended up using it on our green. So there you go. You never know. And if you want to make your mountains more, orange, you could definitely add a little bit of it too. I think I'm liking this color story though. I really like the colors we have going on. I've kind of bumped up some of the blues and things in there, and kind of trying to add a little bit more contrast maybe than there is in our photo in some of the areas. But let's go ahead and get some white. I need more white too. I'm running out of colors here. I need white and unbleached titanium. But so far so good. How are you doing, hon?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Good. What?
Aunt Nancy has joined the discussion.
Nancy! This is Camelback Mountain, correct? I'm wanting to confirm, I think, but it's been a while.
No, she said.
Oh, it's not. Oh, where is it?
I don't know. Lies.
I'm glad I asked.
I was wondering why you smell like beef and cheese.
I sit on the throne of lies over here. That's an elf reference, by the way, if you don't know. Okay. We're a little bit. Is it Palm Springs?
We're waiting.
Don't leave us hanging like that.
Well, those cactus only grow in certain parts, right? No, like not all
true.
deserts.
It might
so
be. Yeah,
pretty.
Tucson. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Now that I think about it. Tucson is kind of where you'd see these more often.
It's not Chicago. I know that.
Okay. We're all just waiting to hear.
All right. So she says it is a picture of the buttes between Scottsdale and Phoenix
Okay.
from the Palm Desert Botanical Gardens.
Palm Desert Botanical Gardens. But that's okay.
I'm just reading what she said. Oh, wait a minute. She says not Palm Desert. She says it said PD, P Desert. So I read it as Palm Desert. Sorry. Maybe Phoenix Desert Botanical Gardens. That would probably make more sense.
Well, I was going to say Palm Desert is in California.
Well, yeah. I know that. Okay, no, so just Botanical Gardens. All right, I'm going to come back
In
in.
Phoenix?
So it's the buttes between Scottsdale and Phoenix at the Desert Botanical Gardens.
Got it. Beautiful.
That was painful. Sorry, everybody.
You are off chat duty. You are obviously filling in
I'm making stuff up.
what you think she's saying and not actually reading what she says.
She said from the P Desert.
Okay.
So, I mean, come on. Give me some slack here.
Just teasing you.
No, because then Phoenix would have made more sense, but...
All right. I'm trying this again because I didn't like those. So.
On North Kelvin Parkway. I'm looking it up right now. Oh, I see it. See other pictures of that.
I see.
I think she's telling the truth.
Why did I do that? Why am I making this middle one taller when the middle one is shortest? I don't know. My brain
It's
is
okay. Your desert can be whatever it wants to be.
I know, but I'm just trying to get it right here. That's why it didn't look right to me. I erased it because I was like, there's something wrong with that. And then I did it again exactly the same way. All right, going to get some dark color on one side and my light color on the other side. I'm going to try to put these in with them blended on my brush. We'll see how it goes. All right, so one is tall here. One is short. And then the other one is tall. And the tallest. There we go. Nice. All right, then get a little bit of the more yellowish color here. All right, so I'm kind of blending these together. So I'm getting dark on one side, light on the other. Blended it on my palette. See how I did right there. Hopefully you can see that. And then I'm gonna go up just a little bit taller than the mountain here. And bring it down. Nice. See, so if I load it just right, I can be lazy and I don't have to do this more than once. I don't have to go back in and try to blend in anything. I can just put it in and it's done. Okay, that looks good. Happy. I'm gonna put a little bit of the, I say that and then I mess it up. A little bit of the watercolor. Widen it out just a little bit. Okay, that looks good. And then there's one right here, and then one out here. Like it. And get some of my darker color. Kind of darken it up where that meets and comes down right there. Looks good. Then let's do this one. So my Aunt Nancy still lives out there in Phoenix. We lived with her when we in between college, her and her husband and kids. So they're like our second mom and dads. Her and her husband Chuck. Although she's my young aunt, though. She's not that much older than me.
Good people.
Yep.
Their whole family.
Oh, yeah. They took good care of us because we were married very young and we're dumb and stuff.
Excuse me?
Helped us a lot. Trying to figure out how to adult. We didn't know what we're doing yet.
Shout out to Stephanie for giving up her bedroom for summer.
Yes.
Even though she had no choice.
Cousin Stephanie. Yeah. Oops, got the wrong. Yeah, so if you're going to do this technique and double load, just have to make sure you remember which side is the dark side, which is the light side when you go back in there. Okay, it's working. So all I'm going to have to do now is just kind of tap in some, greenery at the base of these, but these are coming along nicely for me. Let's go ahead and do this large one here. I think I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to the green for this one. So a little bit more yellow and some white. Kind of got that color all the way through. Let me see if I can get. Press down to blend, and then I'm gonna run it through that white just a little bit on the one side. That's my lightest side. Okay, let's try this. Let's see how it goes. And this time these are a lot bigger, so I'm gonna really press down. And they also have kind of some like ribs, you know, happening there, so I'm just kind of wiggling a little bit. I don't think my dark side is dark enough on this guy, so I'll probably have to go back in and add some dark. And he's going to come down to about right here, so oh, I like it. Look at how just doing that, it goes boom and everything kind of gets pushed back, doesn't it? Mark's going to make fun of me for saying boom. Okay. Waiting for
There were thoughts going through my head, but nothing coming out of my mouth. Secrets to 35 years of marriage. Plus, I need to keep my job. I've already messed up once.
Right.
So,
You already messed up in chat, so we're one strike. I don't know how many strikes it would take to get rid of you. Probably a lot, because I can't do this on my own, and I don't have anybody else living here anymore. So I think you have a pretty good amount of job security.
okay,
That's
so
all I'm saying.
what I'm saying is that between me, the dog, and the cat, my job is pretty secure right now. Thanks.
100% gonna be you every time.
100%.
Get some burnt umber here, burnt sienna. Add that with my phthalo green. Just need a dark green tone. And there's an arm that kind of comes up in front that is front. So I'm going to make it dark, but then I'll have to lighten it up, obviously. But I'm going to come out with it a little bit. Oops, that made it kind of thick. Oh well. But there's another one right here too. So I may need to come out a little bit more with all of these. They're all kind of stuck together right there pretty closely. And I'm going to separate them out now. So I'm going to get my light color and just come along that side. Not liking that. Come on. There we go. That looks better. Getting some of my light green here. And I think I'm gonna widen that out right there. Okay. Then wipe my brush off. Get some of my lighter yellow again. Maybe some of that green gold. Let's go right here. Come on. if it doesn't show up, just go lighter. So I'm just experimenting. It's just not going light enough. So I'm going to just get my white and mix that with what's in my brush and wipe my brush out and then just try to get it lighter. It's not wanting to go light on me, which means I probably had a lot of paint on my brush. Okay, so there we go. So there I'm getting some lighter color. I'm going to go higher with this. All right. Get some of my darker color. Come along this side of it. And then right up under here, it's gonna it's hard to see it, but it's hard to see it in the picture, so we'll just have to call it good enough. And there's one that's kind of back in here that's behind everything. So I'm gonna put a little hint of him back there. And there's a lot more detail in this than I'm showing. So if you want to go super detailed, you could get out a liner brush and do all these little lines and things. But I'm keeping it a little bit more simplified. So I'm not going into a lot of tiny detail with all of these. So, but again, you know, you do you. If you want to do that, there's plenty of room to go much more detailed here. At least I got my voice back this week. That was good. It's coming back, I should say. It's not fully, but almost. Get a little bit more turquoise here. Just kind of adding, I'm just kind of messing up, if that makes sense, that original kind of detail on these. Because sometimes when you do that trick that I did with these, where I, you know, put them on with the one brush stroke, they can look a little flat. So I'm just kind of going back in here and sort of messing them up a little bit and adding a little bit more like stuff going on here so that they're not quite so perfectly smooth all the way down. Okay, looks good. And then let's go ahead and get a little bit of this light yellow, and I'm just going to kind of add a few little indications of some ridges, just some kind of thin lines there. Get the brush, I'm going to flatten it out so I get kind of a line here, and I'm going to use that darker to do the same thing. Just a few little bits, and then where they attached, I want to go really dark, so I'm going to get that phthalo blue or phthalo green and burnt umber mixture, burnt sienna, phthalo blue, and just go up underneath and up just a little bit wherever they meet. Okay, I said I'm making this simple, and I'm kind of taking it a little too detailed, but I'm trying. All right. Oh man, we haven't even gotten to the. Okay, I've got to hurry here. Mark's like laughing at me because he was like, "How long is this going to take?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's going to be probably 2 hours, at least." I was like, you know, sometimes these desert landscapes can get detailed, and then here I am. You know, okay, let's just keep on going here. Stop talking about stories and just do the thing.
Do the thing.
Do the thing. I'm slowing down to talk about stuff.
So what you're saying is that you're enjoying yourself.
I am.
Well, shame on you. Let's go. There shall be no joy here.
Get the work done, Ange.
Yeah, come on.
Get my lighter green here. Coming along this side of it. That looks good. I like that. All right, let me get some of this darker green. I'm adding a little bit of, I want it to be a little bit different toned, a little bit more neutral. This one seems a little bit darker. I don't have a light color going on here too, so that makes a difference. Oh, it's really pretty. But I'll add the lighter tone on top. And it's not one to paint on easily. There we go. I can add a little bit of water and it just helps it to go on a little bit more smoothly. Okay, get that darker color and add it to this side. Okay, I like it. Okay, so you can see what it looks like without the shading, right? Now we're going to go ahead and add our shading in, and it'll give it more dimension. So I want to do a mid-tone in the middle, so leaving some of that dark. I'm going to go from the middle towards the light side on the right. And this one, we'll make this one on top of that one, so overlap it that way. Okay. I need to bring this over just a little bit so that it's attached. And get a nice dark, maybe a little bit of purple here. Really dark right there where it attaches. It's just kind of a semicircle at the bottom of it, you know, and then come up one side. I'm going to use this purple in my shadowing on this one. I like using purple with green. It makes it, it really brings out the green tones. Really interesting way. Okay, that looks really nice. And I'm going to go a little bit whiter with him right here. My stripes in it. Get my light color now. Okay, and let's go ahead and add our stippling these bushes in front, just kind of making them live there. All right, blend in the base of all of them. I may have to leave out my prickly pear. Do we need to stop? I don't know. Are you okay to keep going? Okay. Okay. All right, so for the prickly pear, I'm going to use the Filbert. I'm going to try to do them pretty quick with the Filbert. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to use the purple and this burgundy color and kind of just base out sort of where I want to place them. That is a little bit too dark. To get a little bit of ultramarine blue with that purple. Okay, that looks good. So let's go ahead and do there, 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 and then we'll do kind of in between, and I'm going to fill in some of this with the darker color, especially toward the bottom. Looks good. All right. I'm going to do some turquoise and use that with this purple. Do some of these with more of a turquoisey blue. I like it. I'll just have it going off the page there. All right, then I'm going to get the turquoise and my white, and I have the purple still. So these I want to say these are probably my favorite because I love the colors in them. They're really my favorite cactus. They just have such cool colors.
And I think we even get some of them out here in Arkansas.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, prickly pear grows here.
Which I was surprised.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you wouldn't think because it gets so cold here, but they don't mind the cold, I guess. They do just fine. All right. Can I do a little bit more of this kind of magenta color, and I'm going to go a little bit lighter now. So if it disappeared too much there, I kind of pulled back and added a little bit more of the little bit more dramatic color shift. Okay. And I just want to have different values here, so I'm going to get a little bit of magenta, and I'm going to leave some of these areas dark in between, you know, some of these areas in here maybe. Okay, now let's get the turquoise and white. And I'm going to put in some here that are really bright, facing the light. Angled towards us a little bit. Get some get a little bit of phthalo blue in there too, just to brighten it up a little bit. There we go. This brush is a little bit big for what I'm doing now, but until it stops working, I'm just going to keep on doing it, because it's just one less brush I have to clean at that point. All about efficiency.
Just laziness.
Just being real here.
Oh, sorry, efficiency, not laziness. Sorry.
Yeah, we call it efficiency, not laziness. Come on.
So by not doing the dishes, I'm being efficient?
I'm saving the earth.
Check.
Less water. Okay. Yes, by not doing the dishes, you are. All right, so there we go. That's pretty close to where I want it to be. I'm going to add some green to it too, so I'm going to get some of this brightish green that we mixed before and add a little bit of this base color, the one that had the turquoise and purple, and use it on some of these. And then there's a bunch of little flower buds too, which I kind of had planned on painting flowers, but I don't know if I will now because we're kind of running out of time. So I don't know. We'll see. Get some white. And we'll go ahead and paint in some of the okay. And let's get my purple. Yeah, a little bit of magenta. A little bit of white, but I want it pretty dark. I'm gonna just make my little dabs for my where the spines are. They're in lines, but I'm just gonna kind of do the best I can without getting too fussy with it. What are you laughing at?
Speed painting over there.
Yeah. Dab it, dab it, dab it, dab. I don't know. I'm not doing a great job with the lines, but with the dots, I mean.
Take your time.
Well, what I'll do is highlight back over some of this and kind of do tone it. I'm going to get some white, a little bit of this purple, and put a highlight on each of my little flowering sections. And kind of over the top of some of these. I don't know, I don't like that. Let me get some turquoise here with my white. I want it to be colored, not just white. So I'm kind of just dry brushing a little bit of highlight over, and it's sort of toning down the dots on some of these brightest ones where it was really obvious and kind of in your face. So just kind of tones it down a little bit, makes it look a little bit more natural. And any of them that you don't like the dots at all, you can kind of just cover over or whatever. But yeah, I think that's looking okay. Mm-hmm. Darken up some of the bottom of it if you want to. I think I do. I'm going to darken up one side of these, so I kind of highlight it side and then darken side and kind of darken where it attaches, because they look like they're kind of floating right now. So just kind of tab and darken. This may be a tutorial that is not as easy as I had hoped it would be. I've got a lot of detail in here that I've added that is not necessarily beginner friendly. Let's go ahead and do the agave and we'll be done. Let's go ahead and get the turquoise, and I'm going to add a little bit of this is the cobalt teal, green, and phthalo blue together. And I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to put some flowers in front of it, so we're only going to see parts of it, like in the photo. So I'm going to put it kind of right in there. All right, and then I'm going to get my white. And just find the highlight side and kind of pull down. Into the highlight side. Do a few in between, crossing it over. And that's about all I'm going to do there. I'm not going to do a ton more. Maybe a little bit of phthalo, or maybe this darker green here that I had the burnt sienna added. I'm going to do some of that at the base, kind of where it goes darker. Okay, looks good. And then let's go ahead and use this brush here. I'm going to do kind of some sagey sagey green. Get some green. I'm gonna pull up. Do some. My stomach is growling. Sorry. Did you hear that?
Maybe.
And then some dark purple at the base. And then get my yellows. And I'm going to hold it. Well, not that. Wow. That would have been bad. Maybe a little bit of white. I'm going to hold it on its side here. I'm going to do some little. Wow, my stomach is like really growling now.
Maybe we should eat before the show.
We probably should have. That's funny. Not hungry or anything. Okay, that's so funny. Okay, go ahead and zoom out here because I'm having a hard time staying on camera. Thanks. Using some of that unbleached or cadmium or Indian yellow hue, which is appropriate for the Southwest colors, right? Okay, nice. Let's go ahead and give these little stems. Why not? Get my white. Just run some. Doesn't have to be perfect to all of them, you know. They're in here, but maybe just some of these ones that are a little bit more obvious. Little tiny stems. Okay. And then if you want to add, you know, flowers to your cactus, I might add just a few. Opening up. Oh my gosh, my stomach, I'm sorry. This is crazy.
It's a natural alarm.
It's like...
Show's over.
It's time. Stop. Maybe a little bit of pink. I'm just dabbing color here. I'm not doing anything fancy. Just little dabs, dots of color. That's all. Fun, fun, fun. Okay. Moving back out there. Look and see if I need anything else. I probably could do a whole lot more to this, but I'm gonna just wiping off my chalk lines here. I feel like something dark over in this corner here, so just put a few. Maybe do
Like a spider.
a big old spider.
Yeah. Tarantula.
Well, I think I can just use some of my greenery and do kind of some bush. Oh, I was going to do that, the whole other thing of cactus right there. That's what I'm missing. There's a whole nother cactus there, but I'm not going to do it because it's too late. So I'm just going to do some kind of vaguely reminiscent bushes here. There's nothing really obvious, but you know, like that could be a bush. It could be
It's
that could be a
bokeh.
plant. It's something. Okay. Maybe some of that green gold. Just tapping around the base of some things here. Anything that looks like it's floating or doesn't have a, you know, purpose. Just kind of, you can tap in a little bit darker color or a little contrast, something to kind of help it out. And I'm going to get some of this really light yellow with white. And just go back up in here and add some of that in some of these bushes to brighten them up. And I think we're about done. I like it. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I, again, could do a whole lot more with this, but we've got time constraints. It's a Tuesday night.
Want to.
It's been 2 hours. I think that's good. We'll just call it a timeout. I kind of wish that I'd added more purple in other places now. So one thing that you could do, if you want to kind of make it more unified, is take some of that purple and just dab it in a couple other places, so that it kind of feels like it lives in this desert, you know? So I'm going to do that here. That'll help unify things. Could be flowers, who knows, but at least we've got a little bit of that purple in other places now. So it doesn't, like, not the only place that we've been using it. All right, that's it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Aunt Nancy, for sending me this beautiful photo. I'm really excited to get to paint it. And hopefully I did it sort of justice. I feel like I could have done better, but, you know, a lot of times I feel like that. So, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. We can always hope to do better, right?
Yeah, but you got a bunch of, well, not a bunch, you got several other desert paintings.
Oh, I do,
and stuff,
yeah.
so
And
that
we got a
check out.
lot into this one that in 2 hours that, yeah. So,
Check it out.
yeah. Oh, yeah. So if you want the traceable for this, I will have it ready on patreon.com/AngelaFineArt. It's $2 a month right now for the traceable level, and that includes unlimited downloads of all my traceables from 2017 to the present, and all the traceables for the public YouTube videos, that is. And we will be working on our bonus video this weekend too. So it's our Patreon bonus video weekend. That's for our $5 and up members. And that is...
We are this weekend?
Huh?
It's Easter weekend.
Oh, no, not this weekend. I'm sorry. Next weekend. Yeah, sorry.
I say we got a wedding and
Yeah,
Easter.
that's right. We've got a wedding. Never mind. I forgot what weekend it was. Yeah. So, but we've got one coming up, and then yeah, we'll be. I don't love this agave either.
But thanks to everybody who continues to support us. It's very appreciated.
Yes, and then
That's
we're
awesome.
working on our $10 level. Let me make sure I don't have any paint in my hands because we're getting close to finishing this one. We got these 2 fishes in this last week, so this one's coming along really nicely. This is our tropical fish video, so we've got this kind of section to still finish, but mostly finished all of this. Really fun, bright colors. We're doing it really slowly, taking our time. So, you know, taking an hour sometimes to do one fish, or one section. This is our challenge level. We do a lot more a lot more in-depth and detail in our paintings, and paint them through several weeks of tutorials so that you have time to paint along and you can catch up with me. And yeah, so it's a lot of fun. And if you're interested in all of that, you can go to that link that Mark posted there, the patreon.com, and sign up. But we'll still be doing our free lessons, so if you're not into that, that's okay. We've got 700 and something videos that are free here on YouTube, so I'm sure you'll be able to find something that works for you in the free lessons. I got plenty. Not hurting for, yeah, right. And I love doing these with you guys. I don't think we're planning on changing that anytime soon. This is just a way to do longer videos for those who are interested in more in-depth tutorials. And those are not the kind of thing that YouTube really likes us to do, because they just don't share those videos and they take me too long to do. They're just not feasible to do for the public videos. But so anyhow, okay, long story short, we're done. I added some sticks here at the end. The end. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you come back. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment. Let us know if you like this one. And we'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks for watching. Bye.